Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I posted on Twitter to send me some charts that you want me to look at with my setup and areas where I'm looking at for this stock, right? I won't be able to say when to get in, when to get out, but I do have some good areas of interest for all of these stocks and places to watch, keep your eyes on, right? So let's start with timber. I think Double D 2912 requested this one. There's a lot that happened with this stock, right? You saw an extreme outlier in volume, 147 million shares, right? That's insane for this stock. Confirmed the price action, but at the same time, there's a lot happening, and you have a good level of support here. I would be hesitant to start jumping in at these price levels when the RSI is relatively high. The MACD is showing an extreme bullish wave here. I would wait for a pullback. I'm not liking buying something when it's, when it's this high up. I understand things that are high could go higher as well. But if you're looking for a smart play, I'd keep your eyes on this range here, setting your stop kind of just under this support. So you have support here in my mind at like 172. That's where I would keep my eyes on for timber. Then I have XL. A few people requested this one. So for XL, you have a really good base of support right here at 10.15, right? The VPOC, pretty much the bottom of the chart for XL. If you go back in history here, the price is not going to go below that level in my mind right now. You have a good level of support here at 1150. It broke above that. It's consolidating on this high profile node. You're going to have some resistance because of the 13-day and the 200-day moving average converging. 200-day moving average is a massive support resistance level. So you're going to see some consolidation here in my mind. I do think we break back towards this 1425-ish resistance level. It was support here. It was resistance here. See, it broke, it came back through, and then it broke again. It actually broke through two resistance levels here, but it ultimately came back to this level here as support. This is a strong range. So we're kind of in the middle of two ranges here, but this is an area to keep in mind, and this is an area to keep in mind, right? So you could play this, try to get in here, set your stop loss under this level of support, just under, and try to ride this out to the next resistance level and sell out some here. It might take some time just because of the moving averages that are here as well. Volume is waning, right? So you have buying pressure, to me, waning. That could mean we're going to see continued consolidation next week. It also could mean that I was looking through a couple of stocks and volume was just down Thursday, Friday. So it could also mean that we could see a rip next week too. Like just because volume's waning doesn't mean you can guarantee what's going to happen the next day or the day after, right? But for XL, those are the places I would keep in mind for this stock. I mean, look at this volume profile gap. Once we get to this level, if we do, right, this is going to be quick. Like we could move from 1630 to 19-ish real quick. Just you saw how the market dumped this stock pretty quickly here, broke it down through this through this level of resistance that we saw. And now we are finding support, chopped, came right back down again. We could move pretty quickly once we get above 16-ish. Nice, strong consolidation support, which would be resistance at 19. But once we're above there, we will consolidate for a little bit because this is a very high profile node as well. So there's my outlook for XL. Let's look at PL. Actually, before I move on from XL, let's just take a look at our indicators as well. RSI is in the 30s, still high 30s. MACD showing a potential crossover forming. So this is a good time for me to get in and set my stop loss pretty close because we could get a good pop towards this level of resistance here. PLTR. We have some pretty clean areas to look at here. We have a support zone here that came back during recent price action. It's forming resistance here. It formed resistance back here as well. We have this level, which we saw a lot of price action in. We saw price action there, here, back again here, right? So this is a very prolific zone for this stock. So some more price action there. And now we broke back above it, right? To me, this is a good level of support. You're seeing a lot of places. I mean, it broke down through here, but it ultimately came back through a good pop, consolidated nice off of this support zone, broke back down into it, found another support zone, and then ultimately came back again, right? So you're seeing good bounces and good magnets being formed here with this line. I like to think of them as magnets, right? Price is attracted to this level at 26.92. So if you're playing it based off of this information, like this is a good level of support in my mind. If I was playing this, I would probably try to find something in this lower range and set my stop loss pretty close. But ultimately, I think this is going to be range bound for quite a bit before we get back above this 28 range. But once we do, we should maintain above it. This is a strong level of resistance back here, here. And then this price action was a double top breakdown through. So this was pretty fast, right? We did see some price action chopping here to coincide with that resistance zone though. MACD already crossed over, right? We're seeing that on this bullish trend. We're coming back a little bit in price action. We broke back above this resistance, testing it as support. RSI is in the 50s now. So RSI is looking good for a push. We could see some movement back down into the bull support, back down into the low 40s for RSI. Again, volume's waning, but we do have our zones mapped. So you could clearly kind of see where price action's being held up for PLTR. Let's jump to Sandal. So the stock is SNDL, so I always say it as Sandal. It's sundial. One of the most popular cannabis stocks, Wall Street bets written all over it, right? Used to be a penny float runner. Now it's no longer. We've established a pretty good plateau here at the 110-ish range. You could think of it as $1, like coming back to $1 and not going really below that. But I would keep it at 110 as a support, or actually 111. I have it if you want to be exact. Right now we're range bound between what was resistance here. It's coming back again to be resistance. We've tried to break through it 4 times now. The last time we tried to break through this resistance, we ended up seeing a sharp move down, but that was more because of market weakness rather than, I think, failing this resistance break. So we tried 1, 2, 3, 4 times to break this resistance. We're seeing some support actually forming with the 13-day moving average as well. So right now we're being squeezed between these two levels. A break back above $1.45-ish, 46 could see pretty fast price movement. The last time we broke above this level, we skyrocketed to $4 almost. Not saying that's exactly where we're going to go, but we could see a good pop if we get above this level. We could also see us try to break this level and never break it. But a good pop above this level with volume could signal a good run for Sundial. Earnings is a wild card, so be careful of that as well. I get worried with earnings for short-term plays just because a lot of times can't control how the market's going to react, even if it's good news. So just be careful there as well. SNPR, it's a SPAC, blank check company, Tortoise Acquisition Corp. This is I love seeing these, right? You saw resistance turn into support, resistance, support. It broke back through. A lot of these you're going to see it breaks through support levels, right? Because of the market weakness. But area of interest, we're in it right now, right? It's trying to break back above the 13-day moving average. It's failing a couple times, hitting off of support, bouncing back. I did like to see on the 12th here, last Friday, the bears tried to push this back towards support and the bulls pushed it back pretty hard, ending with a pretty long lower wick. I like to see that because it shows that the bulls have good control over the stock, trying to force it up against this resistance level for a pop. Once we do pop, I think we're going to see a little bit of resistance here, right, at the $13 range. And then we're going to be trying to break through that. And we're going to be probably wedged between this 50-day moving average and the 13 price range. We're going to be breaking through at 13. And I think we're going to see some consolidation here if we do see a move up in this stock once we break through 13 between 13 and 1350. There's a gap upwards to fill. I don't put too much attention to upwards gaps to fill. More often than not, since about 2008, down gaps are filled more often than up gaps. I don't look at up gaps and think, oh, we got to fill that. If you are of that mindset, this is looking good for you to try to push back towards that level, but keep your stop loss pretty tight. MACD showing a crossover forming, right? We don't know if the crossover is going to come, but we are seeing movement in that direction. RSI is in the mid 40s, well within bull support zone. So you would feel comfortable seeing that RSI. But ultimately, I like looking at my zones, right? You could take all these indicators away. Just give me my green lines and my rectangles of zones of where price action usually is choppy, or it's being attracted to a certain line. That's where I want to look for these charts. And we're currently in one of those areas for SNPR. Let's look at SPCE. Virgin Galactic. We saw resistance back in November, pushing through the $30 range. There was price action and it formed support here, broke a gap down pretty hard. But we saw support again with this level here, right? So we could also be confident that this is a good level of support. And we also have confluence with the 100-day moving average too. So I would feel comfortable having this zone as support. You're also seeing some resistance about here. But we broke through, right? So if you are seeing this and thinking that this was a resistance that we might have broken through, we could have a lot of room upwards to run here. We have a lot of fast moving volatile price action that we could be getting back into on this way up. If you are of that mindset, you could play this for this pop and use this as your support for stop loss. I always see SPCE as such a volatile player that it's very hard to gauge. It only stays in zones for a couple days, and then it shoots right out or shoots down. So this is a hard one to play. AI. To me, we're seeing a good level of support here at 82.75-ish. We're currently range bound between 82 and 90. A break back above 90 could see a sharp move back towards the 110, 112 range, just because that's where we have another level of resistance that was support earlier. But these are my areas of interest for AI. So you're like, if you would have bought at 84, that's a pretty confident level to try to get a pop back to this resistance once we break 80 or 90. If it were me, I would maybe play the pop here and then keep my stop pretty close, or I would wait and see if it goes back down to this 82 level. Keep in mind, there was a lot of failed breakdown attempts here too. So if it does go back to this level, there's a good chance it might go down from it as well. So I would just play that carefully too. RSI is looking primed for a bullish run. We're in the mid 30s and pointing upwards, starting to curl up. MACD also showing signs of a bullish run, potential crossover coming in the next few days, weeks. So AI is looking good for a swing for me, based off my style, right? And also this is cool to see. You see a double top break down. That you see this pattern a lot. Failing to break this resistance, buyers or people who are holding the stock don't have patience and sell. That leads to more selling, and you break down through this resistance or support level here, right? It's just something cool to see for AI. We have Ride last, Lordstown, Hindenburg report. did this stock dirty, right? Gap down, huge gap down. We're kind of in no man's land right now. We're in the middle of two areas of interest for me. We saw this level act as resistance here, and then we saw it act as support here. We saw it come back and act as support again here. But we're still above that range. So if this were me, I would be a little bit nervous buying at price levels in the 14s, 15s, just because the last time we've been at these levels, this level has acted as a support and we haven't tested it yet. Now, could we just see a sharp move back upwards? Yes, because we have a good volume profile gap here as well. To me, the next level of resistance is about 1640. A break above 1640 could see some choppy price action, but ultimately a move to 1860 could come after that. You're seeing a lot of resistance levels converge here with the 200-day moving average. Breaking back above 1860 is going to be pretty difficult just based off of how strong of a support this was back in February, December, and then it came back as resistance in November. There was resistance back in August. This is going to be a pivotal line here, this 1860 price level around. Break back above that and we're going to see some chop, but it will also turn back into pretty strong support that we saw earlier too. So there are some good areas to look at with RIDE, but right now we're kind of in no man's land if I'm looking at this. RSI is tanking, right? We're in the low 30s and pointing downwards. MACD, that's not a good sign either for me, that we were potentially curling back and now we're kind of shooting back downwards. I know it's off of news with the short report from Hindenburg, but to me, that's not a good sign for the short term. Long-term outlook for this, I mean, if you just zoom out, right, we look at, let's actually jump to the weekly. You'll notice I usually stick to dailies just because that gives me a better short-term outlook to swing. For me, in my analysis, I usually spend hours looking through different confluence between the 4-hour, daily, and weekly. But you could see here, even on the weekly, my zones sort of come back into play as well, right? And we're not quite there yet. And we saw a lot of volume. This could be stopping power here if you read volume price analysis by Anna Kohling. This could be signs of stopping power and a reversal. And we might be seeing that in the daily, but to me, it's too early to tell. Okay, that was all of the stocks that I had gotten. Thanks for handing these off. I think we're off to a good start. Stimulus came through this weekend. A lot of people are hitting their bank accounts. Bitcoin saw 61.5, I think. So your crypto miners for Monday and Tuesday are going to be hot. I do think throughout the market, we'll see some bullishness next week. We might see some gap ups Monday. So Monday is going to be very interesting, as it usually is and has been for the past couple months here. Monday is going to be pretty interesting. All right. I'm going to be excited to see it with you all. Have a good rest of your day, and thanks for watching the video.